Hey, everybody. Drummer knows best with me, Tony TC Coleman, back again. And today I got another friend. Everybody's my friend, but I think y'all know that. But this guy here is an incredible drummer, got a groove, a pocket, and his brother was the sax player with Earth, Wind, and Fire, Andrew Woolfolk. This is Darryl Woolfolk, y'all. Come on, Darryl.
Hey, Tony T.C. Coleman, drummer knows.
That's what I'm talking about.
Subscribe, like, and share on all platforms.
Back again, Tony TC Coleman, drummer knows best. My unlimited podcast, talking to drummers, musicians, everything, all whoever, but basically drummers. And I got a good one today for you. My brother, my friend from up in Colorado, Mr. the Woolfolk from one of the Woolfolk brothers.
That's right.
Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Darryl Woolfolk, how you doing, bro?
Man, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, man.
Yeah.
Your good drumming self. I've been watching you. You've been out there with the lady I used to be in love with when I was a little boy.
And me too.
Miss Gladys Knight.
Yeah.
Me and my friends used to be fighting about that's my girlfriend.
That's hilarious. Like when you're young, you go, that's my car. That's my car.
Yeah, you're right. She
Right?
loved me. I know she loved me.
I,
Miss Gladys
I,
Knight.
I told her, I said, I was a fan before I was an employee.
We all love her, man. How's she doing?
She's doing good. I mean, she'll be 81 in May. So
Wow.
she's doing good for 81. You know what I'm saying?
Heck yeah, I know what you're saying. We all know it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Um, tell you a quick little story about Miss Knight. My father, King Coleman, was the MC at the Apollo Theater in Harlem.
Okay.
And when they first started performing at the Apollo, he used to coach them and stuff on how to have some really good stage presence. And so next time you talk to her, ask her about that.
I will. I will.
King Coleman, and her and BB used to be managed by the same manager, Sid Seinberg. So she knows me.
That's why Bubba calls him Uncle BB.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely.
Is Bubba still living in Las Vegas, or did he move to
Yeah,
Atlanta?
he's still in Vegas and she is in Asheville, North Carolina or South
Yeah,
Carolina.
yeah, North Carolina.
Okay.
I think it's
Right.
yeah. Anyway, she's up there in Asheville and one of the Carolinas.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
what's 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 the gig like working with Miss Knight? I mean, I know we did some dates together, and she was a stickler for the drummer being popping right there on her. She still like that.
No, she's loosened up in some age, so I just I've been there for 23 years.
23.
Yeah, I started in 2002.
I didn't know that because you were working with me at the BB King Blues Club and trying to
But
put that together in Vegas.
I was still with her then.
I think I recall you telling me that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
were.
Yeah, I was still doing the flamingo or either that or we were taking a break or something. But yeah, I was still.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm. So,
You got a pretty good. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. After 23 years, I know what she wants and how she wants it.
Of course you do. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the first part of the job, knowing that.
Right. Right.
You you got a pretty interesting setup there. If I remember correctly, you got three mounted toms.
3 mounted toms, 2 floors, electronics, 1 snare, and triggers.
Right. What are you
Yeah,
triggering?
kick and snare. So I trigger the original sounds to Love Overboard,
Oh, okay.
and then I trigger the original snare from um, Midnight Train to Georgia, and then the other one is Love. Did I say Love Overboard already?
Yeah.
Okay, so the other one is the other Leon Silver's tune. I can't think of it right now, but they were more in that
Uh,
Leon Silver's era, and then everything else I just use snare. Yeah.
right.
Save the overtime for me. That's what it is. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So you get some, you get a little continuity in the snare drums, and triggering is pretty cool nowadays.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because you don't have to worry about having two or three snares to get different sounds.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
at one point I had three snares on stage when I was touring with BB because of the same thing. On the softer shuffles, you're going to get that old sound that he had in back in the 50s when he was really starting out, the lighter. And
Hmm.
then on the newer stuff, you want that backbeat stuff. And then I
Right.
had one that was in the middle that was like soft and hard. So
Yeah.
I call my three snares snap, crack, and pop.
That's great. That's great.
I
Yeah.
had snap, crack, and pop.
Yeah. I'm just too lazy.
Hey, no, you're not lazy. As you get older, you just get smarter. You don't work
Yeah.
harder, you get smarter. Ain't that what they
Yeah.
say?
Yeah. Because I just did 3 days with Jeffrey Osborne at the beginning of February.
Oh,
And
cool.
apparently the drummer uses two snare drums and probably like for Love Ballad,
Yeah.
that. And I was like, let me pull up a snare drum for that and just change the kit. And so it worked out fine.
He was cool with it.
Yeah, he was cool with the sound. People were cool with it. It came across fine. A lot of times when you're using triggers, sound people don't make it as dominant as the original
Exactly.
snare. And so it's like, well, why did I do it? But they took care of it. It was great.
Yeah, I would be really concerned about the consistency.
Oh, well, I mean, Roland has really done a good job with that SPDSX Pro. And so you just have to go in there and tweak it, and I tweak it where I get the lightest of lights and the heaviest of heavies and make sure I'm getting ghost strokes and not double triggering. But, I started doing the hybrid drumming. When did I start? I was playing with Casey and JoJo.
Hmm.
So in the 90s. And when it was Octopad and the Drum Cat first came out.
Right.
And so I was going like, well, which one should I get, the Octopad or the Drum Cat? So I got the most intricate of the two. I got the Drum Cat. And so I was triggering an MPC. Um, and so that worked out fine, you know. So
I just want to give you a heads up.
uh-huh.
I don't know what the hell you talking about.
Yeah, it's all
I'm
good.
I'm such a electronic technical drumming triggering dummy. I don't know what the hell you talking about, but good. I'm glad you got them.
Yeah, I had to keep up with the times. I was going around from gig to gig for so long. Gladys is the longest gig I've ever had, you know.
Right.
And
And it's
so,
cool. And it's cool that she's like totally up for that. The
yeah,
new technology.
yeah, she's fine with it. And I think most people are because it saves you money on backline, you know,
Right.
and it just kind of puts you in the right pocket, especially for kicks and snares. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, I'm totally down with it. But I just have to use that word you used earlier. I'm too lazy to take the time to learn.
Well,
Damn lazy.
you had to get a tech. You know, you just have to get a tech and have them work it out for you. And then
Right.
and they're really made now that they're not in the way. So
Mm,
it's almost like putting on a moon gel, a round moon gel. It just takes up a
yeah.
big space. Yeah.
I remember the first electronic drums that ever came out where percussion was electric was those damn Sin drums.
Yeah.
You know, it was like boo,
Yeah.
boo. It was like you can ring my bell, boo. That's probably the first song that ever really used it. And then,
How about Love Don't Live Here Anymore?
oh, boom, 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 boom,
Right.
boom,
That
boom,
was a
boom.
whole field. Boom, 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 boom,
Yeah,
boom, boom,
that's
boom.
right, boom. And I watched that video of him. I don't know if dude had a nice fro, man.
You know who that is?
Uh,
That's Terry Santiel.
was that his real hair?
Yeah, that was his real hair back in the day.
Dude had a fro, boy. I had a fro, but his fro was big and perfect.
Yeah. Unless
Look
they
at the
were
video,
wigging.
folks. If y'all don't know what the hell we talking about, check him out. His fro was woof.
Yeah, I had to check it out because some people were wigging it back in those
That's
days.
what I'm saying. Like the Ohio players.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
it ain't no secret. I mean, Billy Preston, that big ass fro, that was a wig.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but anyway, back to dude. I watch him how he go boo 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 boo
Yeah.
boo. Yeah. And I remember one time we had a gig and those that just came out and we had a rental kit. The band we used the band's gear because we had to fly and we didn't, we were going back and forth doing a lot of fly dates. So we used the opening band's gear and the drummer
Mhm.
had the syndrome up there and I said, I'm gonna try it on BB. So BB was like, Thrill is gone. Boom. Boom. He wasn't familiar with it. And he was like, Thrill is gone. Boom. He's looking around. He's like doing that back. What the hell was that? And I went, Woo! He said, don't do that again. But electronic drumming has come a long way. It sounds really kicking. I
Yeah.
checked out Ricky Lawson. I was on the stage when he was doing the Michael Jackson Dangerous tour, and I went
Uh-huh.
up and we were in Japan, and I went up and looked at his kit, and I was like, I played his drums, and all the heads were like really dead. They were like boom, 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 and I said, what's up? He said, you see those little dots? I got triggers on them. I said, oh, that's how it's so strong. You know,
Yeah.
to play those grooves that they recorded and to make it so powerful and big like that. He's like boom, boom. I was like, wow.
Yeah, they probably went into the studio and got each one of those sounds and put them in something. If it wasn't the MPC, it was the well, I don't know if the Lynn did samples, but they went in and got each one of those sounds and put them in for each of those drums. But Ricky, Ricky is big time. He had techs that probably did it for him.
Oh, of course. I mean, that tour, I knew their production manager. He's this big, tall black dude. I forget his name. He was a big brother, man, big like a football player, like 6'5" or something. But he was in charge of the whole production.
Mhm.
And and I was asking him backstage. I said, "Hey, man, how many people you got on this crew, your production team?" He said, "I got 200." I said, 200? Yes, 200. I said, "Is everybody on time?" He said, "Before I hire, I'm gonna let them know one day you're late or make a mistake, you're out."
Yeah.
He was like, "We ain't even gonna talk about it." Well, my mother died. Well, I'm sorry. You have to bury her. You should have buried her early. Whatever. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with shows like that, you need all that production, man, to make it be. I mean, that's commitment, commitment, commitment to that gig. Same thing with the musicians. It's about being committed to the gig. All it being late, not paying attention, not being really focused and serious about playing that music right. And those old school folks like Miss Knight, she want her stuff right. I used to watch some of her sound checks. She'd be on those background singers' asses. I used to check her now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. But like I said, in her older age, uh, she's mellowed out a lot.
I'm
Uh,
sure.
I mean, it was really funny because, playing with her, she didn't like cymbals.
Oh, really?
But when you listen to those old Motown recordings, there's not a lot of crashing going on. So you had to balance it out to where you weren't
Yeah.
playing
All
the
of that ching,
yeah,
ching, ching. Yeah,
yeah.
she don't as a singer, I'm sure that probably irritates her when I think about it.
It must. And then as she got older, even snare drums started irritating her. And she was having me play more acrostic opposed to playing snare drum, you
Or
know.
really just
Yeah, yeah.
instead of pap, pap, just hit that rim, click,
Let's hit
click.
that rhythm. Yeah. And people didn't like it, but as long as my paycheck is the same, I'm good.
Come on, you mean you didn't go, look, Miss Knight, that's not working. I
No,
gotta hit the snare, Miss. No, of course not. You would never.
no. I mean, we were doing a Marvin Gaye tune and I was playing snare. She said, "There's no snare on there." And I was like, "But he's hitting a snare drum on the video that you're showing us." She said, "There's no snare." Okay. No snare, And but most of the other cats was like, "Man, go ahead and play the snare anyway." I was like, "You tell her that."
Right, exactly.
This is what she wants. This is
So
what I want.
let me ask you a question. Was there a snare on that track, on that tune?
Yeah, it was.
Which tune was it?
Oh, I can't remember, but like I knew most of the cats on there. William Bryant was playing keyboards. God rest his soul. Guitar player. Because he ended up marrying Marvin's sister, Gordon Banks.
Gordon Banks, yeah, man. So
Gordon.
not to keep harping on this, but if she was doing a Marvin Gaye tune, it wouldn't be the one that Marvin did, that the Gladys Knight and the Pips did. It wouldn't be that one, would it be?
No, it wasn't Grapevine. It was something else we were doing, either to open the show or putting it in a segue or something like that. But it wasn't Grapevine because we pretty much play both versions of Grapevine. We start off with Marvin's version and then we go into their version.
And then again, Miss Knight, when you're playing with her, she's old school soul music performing. Soul, she's old soul school show drumming.
Mhm.
Soul drumming is an art form in its own. I
Yeah,
mean, and I mean it's a certain way to play the drums without being stiff. You put your own little feeling in there,
exactly.
and you got and based on doing a lot of dynamics. A lot of people like Miss Knight and from the soul days, they want the visual sound to go with their motion, like she might
Right.
go, she might go, "Wah!" and throw her hands down. She want to hear something go bang when her hand moved or something.
Oh,
Is she like that?
yeah, there were a lot of hits. Like when I started in 2002, we were at the Flamingo and
Yeah.
we were there 5 nights a week. So it was a whole kind of a production show, and actually my drum riser was like 8 feet off the ground. So I'm looking down
Oh,
at
wow.
everybody. And they had made it so she walked in underneath the drums,
Hmm.
through the center. But there were definitely hits on certain songs, on certain things, and you just after me seeing it on paper through the paperweight, you just watch her, you know.
I had a comment one time from a fellow musician, a guitar player, and he's black. He's a brother. I mean, black brother, whatever. There's a certain way to play soul shows. Normally, when and every black artist that I work with, our culture, whatever you want to call it, but anyway, you start out driving with the ride cymbal, you know,
Mm-hmm.
bing, bang, boom, bing, ging, ka, ging, ging, ka, whatever. Da, 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 ging, 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 ka. You playing the ride, ding, ging, ging, ka, sing, ging, ka. Then when the person grabbed the mic, ding, 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 bam,
Right.
then you go
Break
to the
it down.
head.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't keep the ride going, so that's dynamics. Bam, and you got to hit the snare. Ding, 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 ding. Bam. So as soon as you grab the snare, you hit that one to signify the definition of now the vocals are coming. So groove now under the vocal.
Right.
So, and then when the vocals start and somebody solo, you'll go back to the ride and drive it a little more, you know.
Right.
Grab the mic again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
That's the way you
so
do it.
anyway,
Or
so
on your way out of the song, you take
yeah,
it up
so
the
so
ride to
I was
build it
watching,
up.
so he and I were watching this band play, and that was going on, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna jam with him, sit in, you know, and he looked at me and he said, I don't like that hit they do every time, you know, that down crack, that crack on when the vocals start. Don't do that. If you play with me, don't do that. I said, so what? Just keep the drive. Yeah, just don't. I don't care what you do, but don't do that. And I said, that's kind of the tradition of, you know, that's kind of the ingredient of that from where we come from. He goes, well, we'll uningredient it. I said, okay, man, whatever. But
Right.
there is a soulful drumming, like if you and you play with Jeffrey Osborne. I know damn well he's a drummer too. He was a drummer, so
Yeah.
I know you had to do those hits with him, right?
Yeah. Sometimes, especially like on the ballads, the up tempo tunes drive all the way through the song.
Right, right.
And if there's any dynamics, they're slight, but because you're keeping the groove going and you're making sure people stay on the dance floor or
That's right.
keep them hyped up. So, but on the ballads, yeah, you break it down, use cross stick on the verse, use snare drum on the chorus, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Gladys, her thing was like, it's got to be ebb and flow, and she just basically meant dynamics,
Of course. Yeah, of course.
and sometimes it would be so drastic for her, more than, matter of fact, more than any artist that I've ever played with,
Oh,
uh,
really?
her verses were drastic to, it was like a whisper, you
Oh,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But you learn how, that's a part of drumming, not only learning how to play that soft, but keep the intensity, keep the attitude, you know what I'm saying? And
It's still got to be,
yeah, it's still got to be there. Yeah.
and that's where the breakdown comes. Pop! That's the cue the band to now we're gonna groove it quietly, but the
Yeah.
same energy. Don't lose the energy. You go from being boom, 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 bang, boom, boom, bam.
Yeah.
You still gotta have that same energy going, and that's something a lot of drummers don't understand. Hey man, you got to play low, but you still got to flow. You got to have that groove going though.
And now, I mean, there's a word that I tell people all the time. It's called accompaniment.
Yeah, of course.
And they
Yes.
don't know how to do that. They want to play the instrument and not the music,
Right.
and you have to play the music.
When you, not you personally, but when people, I think, play with musicians that don't understand that from where we come from with that musicality, you're still a musician. You're a drummer, but you're a musician that plays drums.
Exactly.
You still got to be listening to the music. And it's not about you on stage. It's not about for me, the best gigs is when the person that's in the front or that I'm backing up. The best gigs is when that person never turns around and look at me. I know it's cool.
There you go. Yeah, I
If
get
if
it.
if If you never say if the person never says anything to you, leave it alone.
Yeah.
That means you're doing the gig.
Yes, sir.
I know a lot of times when I'm concentrating on the field, my facial expression might look like, and I've had people come up to me and say, "Are you all right up there, man? You look like you're so angry right now. What's up?" I go, "What are you talking about? I'm happy as I can be." Yeah, but you look really mad. Well, no, I'm just in it. I'm just making sure I'm driving it, you know.
Yeah, there's intent in that look. I get it, making sure that everything that you do is done with intent, and
Yes.
yeah.
Now you grew up in Colorado, right?
Somewhat, I'm an Army brat.
Oh,
So
okay. So you were wherever your
uh
dad or mom was stationed,
yeah,
right?
yeah, he retired in Colorado, and then I went like fourth grade through high school here. But I feel like I grew up in LA. Once I left high school, I moved to LA, and that's where, I learned a lot about life and a lot about music.
So obviously that's good that you learned. Obviously you learned something from your brother.
Oh, I learned a
I
lot.
mean, your brother was before he got with Earth, Wind and Fire and people, his brother was the sax player, the original nine in Earth, Wind and Fire, Andrew Woolfolk.
Yeah.
So in case you don't know. So was Andy, what did you call him Andy?
No, I called him Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah.
So did Andrew, were you like following him around and watching him play gigs and stuff? And were you playing drums while he was playing sax? Or what,
Well,
how did that?
that's a very interesting story. Um, in Denver, we have basements. So,
Uh-huh, yeah.
so when we first moved here, Andrew hooked up with Philip and Larry, and they had a band here. And they would rehearse in my parents' basement. So
Okay.
I was right there, you know.
All right.
And so um, that was my inspiration. I think it was fourth grade. I was offered drums. They started teaching drums, and no, I'm sorry, sixth grade. And so I started practicing. I had the angled practice pad, on the wood and stuff. And so
Yeah.
Andrew traded a saxophone to Philip Bailey, and I got my first drum set from Philip Bailey. And so
So Philip was drumming.
Philip's a drummer.
I know he's a drummer, but
Yeah,
was he
but no,
that band?
he was singing in the band. He just had a drum set. Andrew and Philip was hanging close. As a matter of fact, Andrew was Philip's best man at his first wedding. So
Right.
they were close. So
Right.
Philip had a drum kit, my little brother's playing drums. He hooked me up with a drum set.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. So from there, I'm practicing in the basement, watching them, got to hang out every once in a while. I'm 8 years younger than he was. But so, I got kicked to the curb a lot. I was a little brother.
Yeah, get out the way, man. We trying to go
Right.
out and hey, put your little butt home, man. What you
Right,
doing?
exactly, all that. But definitely was still my inspiration. And then as I got older, like they would come through town and some of the cats would come by mom's house and eat and stuff. So I got lessons from like Louis Satterfield. He would
Right.
show, boy, if you do this, and who else? Ralph Johnson, I would get little lessons, little tidbits from those guys, but seeing them how they were growing was just always my inspiration to stay in the basement and shed. Yeah,
Right. Hell yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, that's part of my journey. You know,
Yeah, well, that's a good part. That's a good
yeah,
start
yeah.
because
And
I mean,
Andrew would come home and I'd be in the basement practice. I had 4 speakers around me. He'd come down with his saxophone, and it would just be drums and saxophone and drums. And so one of the things, the greatest things Andrew taught me as far as playing, because playing with a saxophone is almost playing with a singer, it is to be aware of the rhythmic patterns that they're doing, compliment underneath them, let them know that you're supporting them by what they're doing and what they're saying without getting in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know it must have been a hell of an experience for you growing up with your brother in the biggest band in the world. I mean, let's make no mistake about it. There was
Yeah.
no one bigger than Earth, Wind, and Fire. I wouldn't give a damn what anybody say or think. I mean, Earth, Wind, and Fire is music, and like you, like myself, I've been to 98 countries around the world. When Earth, Wind, and Fire was really fired up, Earth, Wind, and Fire, those 9 with the Phoenix horns, you couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't hear Shining Star or Reasons or
Right.
That's the Way of the World or any of that stuff. So that must have been a hell of an inspiration for you to have a brother playing with Earth, Wind, and damn Fire. I would really.
Yeah.
He would have to have a baseball bat to keep me from hanging around.
Yeah, it was a hell of an inspiration. But as you know, a rehearsal is a rehearsal. And after a while, if they're not playing the songs, it gets to be boring. You know?
Oh well, that's with anything, especially when you got a
Yeah,
hit.
yeah.
The worst, one guy told me one time, he said, "Man, I get tired of playing these songs. I'm not gonna say who he is, but
Mhm.
and he was like, we gotta do something a little different. Can we put something different on it?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, you can do that, but just don't get too damn different. I mean, don't take like a funky groove that everybody hip to and turn it into like a jazz swing or something, man. You got a hit. It's a hit. The people play it every day. They know every little part on there.
Yeah.
So it gets boring. And when you're a drummer, man, especially when you see cats that are like playing, octopus arms everywhere,
Right.
and you got to gig with a successful artist that's got all you got to do is keep time. You'd be like, man, this is boring. And I'd be like, ching, ching, ching. That ain't boring when I can pay my bills.
Well, like I had a couple of mentors growing up in LA. One was Jonathan Moffett, and the
Yeah.
other one was James Gatson.
Yeah, man.
And so, you know, I would watch those guys and I would talk to Jonathan on the phone. And the best advice he gave me was place it on the record. It's there for a reason. If they ask for more, give them more. If they ask for
Right.
less, give them less. And so I've been on the road for 40 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For 40 years, started with DeBarge in 1984. So, using those things, and then even Ricky, before he passed, we would talk on the phone quite frequently. And we actually did on the Soul Train cruise, we did what do you call it? A clinic. It was
Yeah.
me, Ricky, and Jeffrey Osborne.
Jeffrey was there?
Yeah, he was there. He was more like the host. Him and the comedian, I can't think of his name right now. But they were more like hosts. And then the questions would come to drums and how it's practically applied.
It wasn't your homeboy, was it? It wasn't your homeboy comedian from Denver, was it?
No, no. He won the last great
You know what I'm
stand.
talking about, right? I'm talking about Sinbad.
Sinbad. No, no, no. What is Sinbad? Um, I can't think of his name right. I can see his
Yeah.
face,
But
older.
okay, but Sinbad's from Denver.
I don't know if he's from Denver, but he went to DU.
Well, I remember I can tell you something about Sinbad.
Uh-huh.
His first performance, being a comedian, opening a show for somebody was BB King in Denver at a place called A Turn of the Century, and I remember that.
Dude, I was just talking about that place. Yeah.
He I remember him being backstage, little greenhorn comedian dude. He was nervous. He was kind of hanging out back there. He was like looking around. He was like, "Hey man," he was like, "How you doing, man?" He was all nervous and stuff, and he said, "Man, I'm going to open for you guys, man." I'm say, "Yeah, what do you play?" "Oh, I'm a comedian. I'm an MC, comedian." "Yeah, is there anything Mr. King don't like to hear?" I said, "Man, he don't care about none of that, man. Just relax and go on up there and do your thing, man." I remember, and he and I used to talk about that when I would see him at NAMM because he liked drums.
Yeah. It was really funny because I used to have a band here, or I used to be in a band here in Denver, and we used to play at DU. And he remembered the band. The band was called Blackberry Jam. And so when we reconnected, he's like, "Yeah, man, you used to play at our house and stuff, and and yeah, I remember you and Patrice Russian's husband was there at the same time, Mark St. Louis, and they both remember me from then. So whenever I meet
Yeah,
them, it's all love.
of course.
Yeah, it's all love.
You ever get to play up there? One of your favorite places, my favorite places in your city, outside of your city, is Red Rocks. I love playing up there.
I have never played there. That's like my bucket list, you know.
How the hell the many people you played with, you never did Red Rocks, man?
I've always missed it. If Gladys played there, I missed it. If Jeffrey played there, I missed it. If Billy Preston played there, I've missed it. You know, really,
Oh,
I don't know how it happened, but I missed it.
wow, man, what a cool ass venue, man.
Yeah, it is. I've seen people there, but I have never played there.
It's in Denver's it's funny, especially if you're a drummer, but you got, it's like, wow, give me some oxygen up here, man.
It's the worst. I mean, every time I leave home and go down to sea level and I'm gone for a while and then come back, I still have to deal with altitude and altitude sickness sometimes. And so Denver is 5,000 feet. You go to Red Rocks, it's 8,000 feet.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
When you're up there doing this.
Right. Right. You really have to pace yourself, make sure that
Or this.
right. It's hard.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Red Rocks is amazing. And
Beautiful day.
so you grew up, you started out in Denver, but you grew up with your career around LA,
Yeah.
working around LA. What was that like for you as a drummer? Because there's some bad cats around there, man.
Man, well, I guess that was one of the advantages of being Andrew's brother.
You
Because
mean to tell me you use
no,
that
people just
card, as they say, that card? You gonna use that card?
no, I didn't use the car. So here's one thing. And it's funny that you're asking me these stories. So when I moved to LA, I was 18. So I get home one day and Andrew comes up to me and he has a birth certificate with a California seal on it saying that I'm 21. So when I go to get my California driver's license, it's legal and I became 21 at 18.
Okay.
Yeah. So the people who knew about me, knew that I was coming or whatever, they embraced me. So one of the guys who I believe was my brother's ex-wife's boyfriend was Paul Hines.
Mhm.
You know Paul Hines?
I know the name. Maybe
Okay,
if I see the face, I'll remember.
yeah, Paul Hines was the drummer in this Motown group Ozone, but
Oh, okay. I heard of
Paul
those
Hines
on.
is Square Biz. That's Paul
Yeah.
Hines on
Oh, okay.
Square Biz and Portuguese Say Love and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah, he was just a killer drummer from Indianapolis. And so Paul took me under his wings. Paul would give me sticks, when I didn't have sticks and stuff. I mean, he was just that dude for me. So Paul put me on the DeBarge gig. He was playing with DeBarge and And so he got the Jeffrey Osborne gig, and he called me up. He said, "Hey, man, you want to go out with these guys at the bars?" I'm like, "Sure." I'm 21, 22 years old. Sure.
Okay.
And never looked back. And I guess one of my greatest moments was he actually got to see me play with Jeffrey.
Mm.
I got him tickets. He was proud of me because, he took me under his wing, man, and so, yeah, that's just one of those moments. Yeah.
Well, I lived in LA for probably 6 months,
Hmm.
and my attitude was just too bad about LA, man. I was like, seemed like it was a lot of well, we grown folks. Seemed like it was a lot of ass kissing going on to get gigs. I don't do that well, so
No, me either.
it's like
Look,
like
my father was an army sergeant. I didn't
yeah,
grow up,
okay. So
you know what
my
I'm saying?
personality, it was
Yeah.
like, no, man, I can't hang around here, man. And I've always been like, I know that LA system, shitstorm as I call it. But hey, man, it is what it is. But for me, my personality, I couldn't have made it in LA
Yeah.
because it was too many of who you know. Like I remember being at the NAM show one time, and when you're at NAM and they have some new products or something, and George
Mhm.
Clinton happened to be in this one booth. There was something, I don't know what it was, but George Clinton walked in and he was looking at whatever it was, and he said, I remember him saying this, "Hey, who I got to blow to get one of these?"
Oh man. Yeah.
It was like, yeah, that's kind of the LA-ish attitude around all these different situations. But
Yeah.
no, man, I couldn't have made my career. I wouldn't have made it in LA with all of that political. But that's why I was saying, your brother was the original Nine and Earth, Wind and Fire. Man, I would have been dropping his name so much he would have called me up and said, "TC, you got to stop." I'd be like, "My brother's Andrew Woolfolk with Earth, Wind and Fire, man. I can play."
I just figured like that would be work against me
Of
opposed
course it
to,
would.
and so Darryl went to every club, Piper and all that stuff, to the sit-in nights in the Valley. It was Josephina's. I paid my dues.
Of course you have, man. Yeah, I know.
I paid my dues, man, and
But
what was it? I was playing at this club called the Cover Girl, and
hmm,
it was off of Jefferson, in Culver City, and
okay.
and that's where I got a consort. I think it was Jennifer Holliday. The keyboard player was her musical director, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you, come on, what even about an audition?" So I tell cats all the time, look, I've gotten concert tours from club gigs, it's just showing my goods. But I guess nowadays that's social media, but it's really not as personal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I was in situations where I played with a lot of artists, but the artists that I played with, Johnny Taylor and those older cats, you know, whoever, it was they actually felt like they were a part of the band.
Mhm.
We all hung together like a band, even though the artist was the artist person. And bands back in those days when we were playing, like BB said, the only way you get out of this band is you die or you fire yourself.
Right.
They
He's
like
like
have
he's like that.
yeah, like the same people and know you all your personalities, know how you tick and how you click. It was like a family. But
Right.
nowadays, people are like, we were going to audition. I never had an audition in my damn life. Usually I just, it's like, hey, TC, we got some dates. We'd like you to be the drummer. I've been fortunate like that. But most of the time, it's like auditions, go and audition. Man, I ain't auditioning. That sounds like going to wash dishes or something. If you want me to play or you don't. But yeah, it's like musicians, it was based on we're all musicians, not who you're with or who you're not with. You're a musician? Hey, cool, man. What's up? Well, What do
Yeah.
you play? I'm a drummer. Yeah, I'm a drummer too. You know, like when you're traveling, you might see somebody with something, a t-shirt with a drum microphone or whatever. You just go,
Right.
so you play? Yeah. Oh, and that's how you get relationships. But
Yeah.
all this now, the bands are like all the way in the back if they even have a damn band, and the lights aren't on them, and the artists, you know.
Yeah.
I just find that that's kind of weird, but to me, because the drummer, we are the one that we have to be like holding everybody together, man. The drummer, that's the job of the drummer, to be the CPU, the central processing unit. You have to be the foundation of the band.
Exactly. I think the format for staging is more video, opposed to being instrumentalist. There's no more bands really,
No, none. You
especially in
can't.
R&B. So it's not like you can look and go, oh, I'm watching the guitar player, how he's doing, or watching the drummer, or watching, or remember, tell you used to kill me was Lenny Pickett for Tower of Power. He played his behind off, but he was all over, and he was something to watch in the band,
Yeah, dancing around and
Yeah,
everything.
dancing around everything. That just isn't the case anymore. It's all about the front person. It's all about the singer, you know. And even though
Well,
we're on the stage with Gladys, it's still all about her.
of course it is, but still, she personally would love every one of you, and you're all together. You're her family, her team.
Right.
But
Her
I mean,
support.
some situations, these artists barely even talk to the band or even see them until they come to the gig. And at the sound check, they might not even be at the sound check for a second, and then the MD is saying this is what the artist wants you to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not personable, you know.
Yeah, some artists you can't look at them.
See, I could never do.
Yeah,
I would never
yeah.
be able to make it a gig like that, man.
No, me either.
I remember a situation when we were touring with Bob Dylan. We were in Australia. We were on BB King Bob Dylan tour,
Uh-huh.
or Bob Dylan BB King tour, whatever. They were doing what you call co-headlining, where they would switch it around.
Mm-hmm.
And the first day of the tour, when I came in to the gig to hook up with the production people about our stage, our gear and stuff. Guy walks up to me from Dylan's band. I don't know who you are, but I know you remember this. He walked up to me and said, "You're with BB King." I mean, like, we had BB King tour jackets, BB King hats, BB King glasses, BB King contacts, BB King
Right.
everything. Yeah, of course
And-
I'm with BB King, you idiot. Anyway, what's up, man? Well, listen, I'd like to tell you to make sure you tell your guys, like, when Bob's around, don't talk to him. And I would see, and I was like this, okay. And I always do be an asshole like this. I go, so let me hear that again now. So if we see Bob, let everybody know if they see Bob, don't talk to him. Yes, yes. So, just kind of like avoid, you know, okay, I'll be sure and tell everybody. Okay, thank you. What's your name? Yeah, don't worry about it, man. I'll see you around. We got like 8 days together, so I couldn't wait to go in the dressing room and say, "Hey, y'all, guess what? This knucklehead with Bob Dylan said if we see him, don't talk to him." They say, "TC, I know you're gonna wait in the wings for him to come to talk to him." Which we say, they say, matter of fact, let's all of us go out and hang out there when he walks in. So he walks in with his guy. We say, "Hey, Bob, what's happening, man?" He's, "Oh, hi there. You guys are DD? Yeah, man, we're gonna be on the tour together. Very excited. I'm glad to see you. Yeah. How are you? What do you play?" We was talking. His boy was over there like this, pissed off, and he said, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. I hope it's okay that we're talking to you because I was told we're not supposed to talk to you." He said, "Well, who would say a thing like that?" And I looked at dude. I said, "I don't know. I don't recognize who it was. I don't remember. But if I see him, I'll let you know who it was." He said, "No, that's bullshit. Where's BB? I'd like to say hi to BB." I said, "He's not here yet." "Well, make sure I know. Come to my dressing room and get it." Just that kind of stuff you have to deal with
Yeah.
being in the music business. This ridiculous stuff. And we come from where everybody it's like a family, man. When you're out on the road and traveling and playing, that makes the gig a lot more fun when you don't have all those nonsensical bullshit going on.
Yeah, no, we do stints with the OJs and with Patty and it's always camaraderie between everybody. I make sure I talk to everybody, say hi, how you doing? Some people I've known personally for a long time anyway. We're getting ready to do a tour here in May. It's going to be Patty, Gladys, Shaka, and somebody else.
Oh man, that's gonna be nice.
It's called Four Legends on One Stage. And it's supposed to happen in May and in October. So
Well, I want to suggest to you that I know you do it, but keep all that memorabilia from these tours with these artists because we're none of us is going to be around forever. But these are some amazing people, man. And
yeah.
you are so blessed. We are so blessed to be able to
Yeah.
work with talented people, successful, talented people like that. So I don't take it for granted, man. I'm sick and tired of seeing people like at so and so's funeral going, "Oh, she was great. I loved her." I'm like, why didn't you tell her that when she was alive? She can't hear you now.
Exactly. Been gone before the funeral.
Yeah,
Was checked out the body before even the service.
yeah. It's like I go to somebody's that I was with funeral, and I see all these people up there quacking about how great they were. I go, man, I don't even remember seeing you around one time saying anything like that to them when they were alive. So you work with you're drumming with some of the greatest people, talented people, man. We all should be excited about that. I stay excited.
Yeah, I do.
I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet your brother. I met everybody in that band except him.
Yeah.
I don't know how I didn't meet him.
Yeah, he was a great dude, man. He was a conversationalist, conspiracy theorist, he would talk to you, pull you in the corner, well, what do you think about UFOs?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was into all that stuff. And most people that that know my brother or knew my brother, they'll tell you, man, he was a great guy.
Well, I love your drumming, man, and
You as
we work
well.
together as a team. So when I was doing that BB thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen you doing it. Matter of fact, after BB, there was a thing that you were doing with a bunch of cats. I can't remember who it was. They were white cats, and there was a video online. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that's why. And then actually I've seen a video of you explaining shuffle.
Oh yeah, on Drumeo.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, that's why. Yeah, because everybody don't know about shuffles. You
No,
know,
they do not. They do not.
they don't know
They
about shuffles and how many different kinds there are.
it's just like that. One of my favorite movies, Forrest Gump's friend, Bubba.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's sauteed shrimp, fried shrimp etouffee, shrimp. It's like, yeah, it's all shrimp, but there's different types of shrimp.
Yeah,
And people go, oh, a shuffle. Well, which one?
right.
There's so many different ways to play a shuffle,
Yeah,
and that's something that I gladly teach and talk about when I see people and we talk about drumming because people take things that they think are simple for granted, and then they be like I remember one time we were at Montreux. You played Montreux before,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And when you played whoever the headliner is, when it was BB, whoever was on the bill, they have a jam that everybody come out and jam.
right.
So there was this one particular drummer, and we had two drummers, me and Caleb Infrey at that time. And then this one guy was like, "Yeah, man, I want to do the jam." I said, "Yeah, you can come jam, man." After and he came up there, he was screwing it all up, man. And then he said to me, "Man, that tempo on that shuffle, Mr. BB was playing. Man, I couldn't do it, so I just did what I do. But it ain't nothing but the blues anyway." That's what he,
No,
that's what he said to
no,
me.
yeah, yeah, no.
It ain't nothing but the blues anyway.
Right.
That attitude, man,
Yeah,
You shouldn't do that to any art form of music. You should be able to pay attention, learn, listen, and talk to the people that do it and discover what you should do and what you shouldn't do. You should never take anybody's music for granted, like, that ain't nothing.
Yeah, and a lot of cats do that nowadays because they want to be gospel or fusion, and they want to make the older music hipper when it stood all this time without you on its own.
Darryl, you're like right now, once this is out, people, I've already recorded about 12 guys before we start doing this, putting them out on my podcast. Thanks for being on my podcast again.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. But everybody that I'm talking to, when you see my podcast, we're all saying the same thing about gospel drummers, what they call gospel, which is fusion. But
Right.
we're like, it's just, boy, they're going nuts with it, man. Okay, all right. Y'all, it's like that's like it's like, say, are you a pilot? Yeah, well, we need a guy that crop dust our plants out here. Oh, that old plane out there? Yeah, yeah. Well, I got a G7. I fly, my private jet. No, I need you to get in that crop duster and dust these crops. And all you need to do is take off and fly. Come back around. Now you hired a guy, he comes out and he's like, like, what the hell are you doing, man?
Right.
I just got technique, man. I don't need that. I just need you to fly the damn plane and dust the crops. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of drummers today. They have these gigs, you play with so many different people. They'll give you a solo if they want you to have a solo. They'll feature you, but in the meantime, just give me that groove.
Yeah, it's not only drummers, it's the bass players and the keyboard
Bass players too.
guitar. I mean, they're playing in there's no holes anymore in the music.
That's where the feeling is.
Yeah,
That space. That's the funk.
Yeah, that's the
space.
funk. Yeah.
Everything. We're not just picking on drummers.
No.
But musicians today just want to explore the far depths of way beyond yonder. It's like guitar players nowadays.
Yeah. All over.
What the hell are you doing? So you're one of my favorite guys though, because you get to play with all those people, my heroes and heroines and all the ladies and guys that I grew up listening to. You've played with so many of them, man. And I just love it, man. You've had some great gigs that way.
It's been a blessing, man. Yeah.
You're getting ready to go out with Al McKay All Stars, the Earth, Wind and Fire #2, I call it.
Right. Yeah.
I ain't trying to make nobody upset, but I mean, come on, Al McKay he had a lot to do with Earth, Wind and Damn Fire. Anybody that got a problem with that, I'm sorry.
Right. Not only was he a songwriter, but just his left-handed style, how he played, nobody plays like him.
No.
And it's engraved in that music, And so in 2019, I actually got to do a show with Al.
Oh, he's not in the band anymore though, right?
Yeah, no, he's retired. But man, it was just he's a train, man. The way he plays that guitar, he's a train. And it's like, whoa, there's nothing like it. No, you know how you say about the marriage between the bass and drums? With him, it's bass, drums, and him, And
Yes.
it just does this thing, man. And it's great.
That's my theme. That's my theme
Yeah.
for groups like the train. That's what I represent. The trains. That's why I love trains. It's just like that, man. I love trains, man. It's like it's just It's coming at you, baby.
Yeah, man, it was a wonderful experience. I guess my only experience now is to play with Larry Dunn. I haven't played with Larry.
You
I
never played with Larry?
never played with Larry, but
Larry, I don't know if you're going to be able to see our podcast, but damn it, Larry, what's up, man? Come on now.
what's up? Yo, this is your little brother, man.
Come on, Larry. I talked to you before. You cool. You
Yeah.
cool as hell.
He's a great guy, man. I just never had the opportunity to play with him. I played with Philip. I went to when he was doing his gospel thing, went over to England and played with Philip,
Yeah.
So I can mark that one off,
I
Just
used to play golf with Philip.
is that right?
Yeah. This is a funny story. I mean, this is what my podcast is about, just a conversation. It's not all about technical stuff. It's fun things.
Yeah.
That's why I want to do my own podcast and do what we're doing. But anyway, I'll tell you this story about Philip. So occasionally we run into Earth, Wind, and Fire, and we'd be on the same deals or something, festivals. And Philip and I would go play golf. And man, I suck at golf. I did 3 commercials for Callaway Golf and wrote a jingle for Callaway Golf and acted
Wow.
in one of the commercials. But I love golf, but I play like crap. So so I tee off and I hook it and it's like and this house, it was like bam, hit the side of this house. And Philip was teeing off, and the lady actually came out to like, who the hell? What's so Philip was he teed off. He said, "Uh-oh," and he went tee to make sure he didn't, And then he wanted to make sure it wasn't over there where my ball was to go where the ladies
Right?
waiting. And then she said, "You hit my damn house. What's wrong? What's your problem?" And Philip was over there like, I was like, he told me that it was a curve around the hook, and I hooked it. He said, Philip said, I did that was his ball. So we were laughing. It was like, why are you living on a golf course, damn it? You think you ain't gonna get the ball gonna hit your house? So then
Right?
Philip said, hey, look, man, I'm gonna show you, man, your rhythm, And Philip's not playing as good as me. He's a pretty good golfer, but Philip said, I'm a drummer, man, like you. So it's all about the rhythm. And I'm like, Philip, you're a drummer, I know, but are you a drummer like me? He goes, I'm a drummer. I can tell you how to play drums and how to play golf. It's funny about everything's about the rhythm. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But Philip is actually a drummer, and I know he plays drums. I saw a video of him at the sound check playing the drums.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's like that scene where James Brown is saying every instrument was a drum, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the truth though. Every instrument.
Hey, so what's that in your hand? It's a sax, Mr. Brown. Tell him what that is. A drum. What is that thing he got in his hand over there, the trumpet player? A drum. Thank you, it's a drum.
Right. That's it. Man. Foundation, baby. Foundation, rhythm, all that.
So when are you guys going to? I'm going to be doing a European tour June to July this year. So
Uh-huh.
you guys going to be over there doing
I
that
don't
period?
I don't know yet. We usually go over to June and July. We usually go over to London and in that area during that time. But right now the big thing is May, and doing this tour. So I haven't even gotten anything past May.
What are you using for your gear? Who are you representing?
Darryl, no, drum workshop. DW, Zildjian, Cymbals and Sticks. And since they bought Vic Firth, they let me get some Vic Firth sticks, Yeah, and
Zildjian bought Vic Firth?
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, they bought Vic Firth, so it's pretty much one company. And Porter and Davies drum seats. Love those things. Are you hip to those?
No.
I haven't used a subwoofer in years, and so I'm using ears. So the way it's hooked up, you run your kick drum mic through an amplifier, comes up through your seat. Now it's not.
I had one time, and I don't know what the hell I did with it. It's somewhere around here.
It's not the traditional butt kicker.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's a different
This
one.
one, this one has a monitor in it. So if you played your iPod through it, you can hear the music.
Really?
Yeah. So
That's interesting.
it has a low contour knob, so you could turn up the bass if you want to, the low contour, and it has two inputs. So like what I do is I put my kick drum through it, and then I run a line from the monitor mix so I could get bass in there too, and sometimes keys for the lower end of the keys, so I can feel all that stuff because we're doing in-ears. But even without in-ears, it's like you can use it in a club, and if you want more kick drum back at you,
Yeah.
put a mic on it, run it back to the seat, and you're feeling that bass come up through your body.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's called Porter and Davis. Yeah,
Porter and Davies.
yeah,
Porter and Davies. I'm gonna have to check it out.
yeah. Actually, I
Hey,
turned
I'm
Alvino
gonna have
Bennett.
to
Okay, go
say
ahead.
again.
I said I
Oh,
turned Alvino Bennett onto it.
oh yeah, I'm gonna have Alvina on. We're gonna talk too.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to say to them what George Clinton said when he was at NAM. Hey, who I gotta blow to get one of these?
Right. Right. They're out of England. So they're really popular now. When I first got with them, hardly any backline companies had them, but I go everywhere and they're everywhere now. So,
Are they battery powered or are they
oh,
regular
plug in.
plug-in?
Yeah, just look it up. They have three different amplifiers. They have like a club amplifier. They have
Let me write this down so
yeah,
I won't forget Porters and
yeah,
Davies.
yeah, Porter and Davis. Yeah.
How
So,
long have you been using it?
ooh, that's a
How long
good
have
question. Since the early 2000s, because I was still living in Vegas. So
Oh yeah.
probably since
Were
oh
you using it when I was out there working with you guys?
probably so.
I wonder why you didn't tell me about it then.
I don't know. I don't know. I might have just got it and was trying to figure it out, but it's a staple, in my rider now.
How big is it?
Um, Three different sizes. One is a two-space rack size, rack mount. One is a box, which is about, let's say, a foot square or less, 10 inches square. And the other one, it looks like, um, it almost looks like a big uh interface for your,
Hmm.
audio interface. So,
Okay.
so it's got a slant on it. It's more personal.
Are you using in-ears all the time?
With Gladys, yeah, as much as I can now. I'm kind of used to it,
Are
and
you?
yeah, and for me, because back in the days, sometimes you get those monitor cats and they'll blow your ears out. And so with this, whatever they run to me, I run through a mixer, and I control the mixer.
Right.
Before it gets to my head.
Yeah, I saw Steve Ferroni on stage. He had like a whole damn like a mixing board beside him. He controlling his own volume on his monitors.
I wish I could. I wish I could control my own mix,
Oh, me too. Me
because
too.
relaying it. Back in the days, cats would come up to you and go, "Okay, are you cool? What you need?" La da da da. Now you got to talk through somebody who has a microphone, or you got to talk. They won't get up away from the console to come and see if you need something. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And you use gates on your drums?
Whatever, after I tune my drums, whatever you do is whatever you do.
I hate gates.
Uh-huh.
I'm so old school now. I hate
Yep.
gates. I hate changing. with things that I don't need to change because it's working for me. I don't need to try and enhance anything. You know, it's like I got my way and it works for me. And but Gates, I always have a problem because we were talking about dynamics, and when you try to play low on that kick drum and you try to play soft on it, then you don't hear it, and it's like, hey man, turn those gates off, man. I told you no gates, dude. You go, well, your kick drum, you know, I'm trying. Man, it was fine. Just leave it alone, man. Go get you a magazine or something and read a book. Don't stop messing around.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. As far as my ears are concerned, no gates. No gates.
Yeah,
Because the dynamics are so drastic.
yeah.
You know, so if I can't feel it, if you gated it off at a certain level and I can't feel it, you messing with my whole vibe.
Exactly.
You know?
So that's what I'm saying. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
no, that's for somebody that's just going boom, 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 all day, all
Right.
night. We play up loud, sideways, upside down, inside out. We play all kind of ways, and we have to control it ourselves, you know.
Right.
And I know like a lot of times, like when BB would do like play really soft and quiet to express himself, then the engineer turned that up, and then when he come up, now it's too loud. It's like,
Right.
man, leave it. He's controlling it. Leave it alone, dude.
Yeah. So that's when you don't understand dynamics.
Yes.
You don't understand personality. You know,
Right.
that's when you don't understand like a person wants to talk to this audience different than the last audience. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Well, Darryl, it's been fun, bro, and I hope to run into you out there when you're working, but I also hope to see you when we're not working. We can go hang out at Red Rocks or something.
Hey, you got my number. Call me anytime. You know,
Well, thanks for doing my podcast.
thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, and you know, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're making people happy out there with your groove.
And you as well. You know,
Thank you, thank you.
we'll do what we do.
That's right. We
Yes,
gonna make
sir.
it do what it do.